Hi there, this is Haley Bowen, the founder of Marketing on Purpose and your host on the Marketing on Purpose show. This is episode 2. And in episode 2, I'm actually bringing one of my fabulous clients on to tell her story. And her story is, I think it's going to inspire some people. And then also, what is she doing from a marketing perspective? So I'm going to bring Lisa on right now and let's say hi. So hold on here. Here we go. Hey, Lisa.
Hi, Haley. How are you?
I'm good. Okay,
Good.
so everybody, this is Lisa Mosier. Lisa Mosier is the founder of KP Quilting Studios, and Lisa has an amazing story. So Lisa went from being a parole officer for like 15 years to owning a quilting studio and inventing a new form of quilt, which we're going to get into soon. So how do you do that? How do you go from like parole officer to quilting studio owner? We're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about what is Lisa doing from a marketing perspective? What has she learned over the last year in business? And hopefully that will help you in figuring out maybe some of the things that you can do to help push your business forward and get it growing. So Lisa,
Yes,
let's
ma'am.
let's tackle the first question right away. So
Okay.
the question is like, how do you do that? How do you go from being a parole officer for 15 years to owning a quilting studio?
Well, you got to have the planets completely aligned just right for you. So I guess it kind of all started 3 or 4 years ago for me. So I was working in the field corrections as parole officer. Um, and I always loved to sew. I always loved to quilt, and word got around that I kind of knew what I was doing around a sewing machine. So people would ask me to make things for them. So I had a friend ask me to make a weighted blanket for her daughter and other little items, and it just kind of started from there. That hang on, maybe I can make a business out of this if I go about it in the right way. So fast forward to 2017, a couple of years ago, and I was off work for about 7 weeks. And in the meantime, I had bought this property on the Kingston Peninsula, which I love.
Beautiful there.
It's a beautiful property. It really is. And it had a big old barn on it and a big old farmhouse and apple trees and pear trees and on and on. So it's just gorgeous here. And when I saw this property, it was, that would be a great place to make a studio, that big old barn. So that was rolling around in my head. And then I'm off work for 6 or 7 weeks recovering from surgery. And I thought, well, let's pretend.
Yeah.
Let's just pretend that this is my life. And I don't have to get on the ferry and drive out into the city every day to go to work. And this is my life, and I work from home. So that's what I did. Once I was recovered enough that I could sit behind a sewing machine, I started. And I bought the business license, and I started right from that moment.
Still
Um,
working.
Still working, yeah. So I was still at my job as a parole officer in St. John. But from that moment on, my head was at home and my heart was at home. Um,
Yeah.
so, fast forward a year, 2018, and I had to do a little bit of figuring to see how I could do it. But I retired early from my job as a parole officer to do this.
Nice.
And, and I haven't looked back. I
And
haven't.
I know, as a new business owner, lots of ups and downs, of course, but
Yeah, fair point.
overall, are you happy with that
Oh,
decision?
yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, best decision I've ever made for myself. And yes, there's ups and downs, and there's moments when you think, what have I done? You know, and you think about that nice paycheck that you used to get, right? But
That's what I miss the most, the steady paycheck, right?
yeah, because you can count on that money every 2 weeks, and now it's
Yeah.
sink or swim, right? But parole officer is a stressful job. This is stressful in other ways, but it's
Yeah.
good stressful. This
Right.
is exhilarating stressful, right?
Yeah.
Because you're the person who is fail or succeed, it's all on you,
Yeah.
right? It's
And
all your
what you're doing, because for those of you who don't know, Lisa is a client of mine. So Lisa did the Strategic Foundation Bootcamp.
yeah,
So we've spent, over 3 months now together talking
yeah,
about your business. And
yeah.
I think the thing for me with you is how emotionally, you get when you see the benefit of the product that you are delivering to someone,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Now, don't make me cry.
This is a marketing on purpose show. Everybody cries. That's the rule.
It's true. Yeah.
So before we just jump into the marketing stuff, I just want people to get to know you a little bit more.
Yep. Yep.
So can you share one of the, and this is a pop quiz question, because I gave Lisa some ideas of what I might be asking, and this was not on the list. So
Yeah.
I'm always challenging you.
Yep.
So can you share one of the stories? You don't have to give names of clients or anything, that really made you think, holy crap, like I am making the biggest difference and this is so fulfilling. I know you have a lot of them because you've told me a lot of them, but just one.
You're determined to make me cry, aren't you?
No, don't cry.
No, there's a lot of them actually. If I tell that one, I will cry. So I'm going to tell. There's a couple. I'll go with, the very first weighted blanket I made,
Okay.
which was for a colleague and a friend for her daughter, and that's kind of what started it for me in a more serious way. And here's why. Because we talked about what her little girl likes, what colors she likes, and it came around to becoming a patchwork quilt with weight added to it for her, and it came out beautiful. It really did. And but what really finished me off on that one was the next day hearing from dad standing at my office door, because he was a colleague, saying, we as a family have had the best sleep that we've ever had because the little girl had the best sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
That she ever had. So it had like a ripple effect. Um, and what I realized at that moment was I have an opportunity here because I love helping people. It's kind of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who knows me personally will tell you that, and I've always enjoyed that, and I get a lot out of that personally. Um, and with the job I was doing that.
Yeah.
But it was so much more tangible um, after that weighted blanket experience because I had a person standing in front of me saying, oh my God, like I can't believe how good this is. And it really, really, it hit me very, very hard, and it changed the projection, the trajectory of where I wanted to go.
Love that.
It really did. Yeah. And since then, and that, like I say, that was the first, but since then it's been the same. And, clients, God love them. They're just desperate. Like,
She is gonna cry.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, because the beauty and what I love so much about working with you, was that the weighted blanket is a great thing. Now you created a weighted quilt, and we're calling it the weighted comfort quilt,
Yep.
which is different than a weighted blanket,
Yeah.
because of the distribution of weight and how it sits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's therapeutic, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so so who is, just really quick, and then we'll get into the marketing. So who is this weighted quilt? Like, who does it help from a therapeutic point of view? I know it's comfortable for everybody, but
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting because weighted blankets and weighted quilts started in the autism community. So, very much patients dealing with autism and the symptoms and sensory disorder and those types of things. It was really found that it would really help them to ground and really help them to to settle and to calm. And so through that deep pressure touch uh, effect. So that's sort of where it started, and then it kind of spread from there. So it helps people with anxiety. It helps people with PTSD. People who are dealing with, believe it or not, fibromyalgia is another one that which seems kind of counterintuitive because fibromyalgia is pain over your body, right? But it actually can calm those neurons and settle everything down. So same, and I could just go on and on. Restless leg
Yeah.
syndrome, insomnia, um, Alzheimer's, dementia. I had a client tell me that uh, patients on her geriatric unit who were dealing with dementia, it helps them to calm and to ground and to become less combative, and which
Nice.
is huge for the nursing staff. You think about that,
Yeah,
right?
it's the ripple effect, right? Like one person
Yeah.
calmness and peacefulness and ability to actually sleep
Hmm.
affects so many people because one person affects so many people.
Yeah. Another client is chronic pain, and it helps her to get a good night's sleep, which gives her more ability to heal and to, from a car accident, chronic pain from a car accident. It gives her more ability to heal, and she needs to take less medications. Like
It's
it,
awesome.
there's a lot to it. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a
So
lot
you
to
can
it,
wake up feeling good every day.
right? And that
Right.
makes a huge difference in how your day goes.
Okay,
So
but you'll feel even better when you have lots of customers, right?
yep, absolutely.
So the more customers you get, the
Yeah,
more people you can help,
yeah.
the more money you can make,
More
and the
money.
bigger you can grow and the bigger impact you can have. So let's
Yep.
talk about your marketing journey.
Hmm.
So before we jump into that, for those of you who don't know, I am a brand, blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah,
I
blah.
am I'm a branding strategist. I help people create brands that are worth loving. That's my passion, is to help people build that foundation for their marketing so they can then go and execute it wherever they want. They can go on Facebook, they can go in Pinterest, they can, do commercials, whatever they want. But I ground it all in this foundation, which is your brand strategy. That's not your logo, not your website, but the actual strategy behind what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So Lisa signed up for the boot camp to figure out her strategy. So let's talk a little bit about, before you figured out your brand strategy, how were you feeling? Like what was it like from a marketing perspective for you and growing your business?
There was no marketing perspective. It was, let me throw this against the wall and see if it sticks, kind of thing. Like, well, maybe people might like this, and how about if I make these, and what about this? And it was literally just closing your eyes and throwing darts, right? It just, there was no strategy at all.
Right.
There really
And
wasn't. Hope was my strategy.
hope was your strategy,
Hope.
which is
Yep.
hope. I love hope. I mean, come
Yeah,
on, we all want hope, but
that's
it's a pretty
right.
scary place to be when you've just quit your job
Yep.
to start something, and you're just and you're, what did you say, throwing darts, right?
Uh,
Is that what you
darts.
just said, throwing darts? Yeah.
Darts. Yep.
Or okay.
We'll go
Um,
with darts.
let's go with darts. So now that you have a brand strategy, now that
Yeah.
you understand your competitive advantage, your customers, how you're going to talk to people, what your brand
Yeah.
promise is, your personality, all of that stuff that we do together. Now that
Yeah.
you got that down, how has it changed? How are you feeling now about your marketing and your plan moving forward?
Much better. And here's why, because I have a plan. Before there wasn't a plan, right? So it was, again, it was very much hit and miss and hope. So now it's all right, where do we want to be at the end of 2019? Where do we want to be at the end of 2020? How
Yeah.
are we going to get there? And so it's what's that goal in the future, and how do we break that down into little goals per month, per
Yeah.
week, per quilt?
Yeah.
Right? How many quilts do I need to make to get to my goal for 2019? And it's figuring that out and then working backwards with the marketing and saying, okay, who are we marketing to, which was the huge thing for me. And I know you have a question about that, so I won't
Yeah.
go too far with that. But it was very much about that. Because for me, I was marketing to everybody. What I was trying to do was for everybody.
Right.
That's not how it works, and that's you
Yeah.
know that's the big piece of the puzzle that nobody has.
Yeah. And especially like when you're a small business,
Hmm.
you don't want to alienate anybody. You want whoever wants to buy what you're selling, come on down.
Yep,
Right.
absolutely.
But to be effective in marketing, you really have to understand your ideal customer so that
Hmm.
you can attract them.
Yeah,
And I think that when we attract our ideal customers, that's when the word of mouth will go crazy. And word of mouth is like, the number one for a small business.
yeah,
That's what you're aiming for, is for people to sell it for you.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So as we went through the branding process, what was
Yes.
the biggest aha moment? I'll quote Oprah on that. What's the biggest aha moment that you had through the branding process?
Oh, it was looking at my customer interviews. So when you and I got together and we put all those interviews together from all the customers that I had interviewed, and
Yeah.
we started looking at similarities, and we started seeing the patterns, and holy cow, they're all, moms with kids. They're all they're all women for
Yeah.
starters. So we started to see all those patterns. They all love fabric. They
Yeah, which
all,
was something that we never really thought
right?
about.
Yeah, they all have a loved one that they're trying to help. That was a big one.
That to me was one of the biggest keys that's changed your is going to change your marketing up,
Yep.
because we all want to know what is the buying trigger, right?
Yep.
And I remember we were sitting, we did this one in person, and we like had this huge table, and we put all of your research out,
Yep.
and we
Yep.
just were circling and trying to find all of the connections.
Yep.
And then we found out everybody is buying for someone they love.
Yep.
It
Yep.
wasn't about them, it was about helping someone. That is such a huge thing to understand for your business.
Yep. Yep. It is. It's hope. It's altruism. It's love. All those warm and fuzzy feelings, right? That's what is driving people here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and to understand that. So that was your biggest aha moment, was
Hmm.
those connections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
those, I mean, for anybody who's doing marketing, and I know not everybody is going to be doing the boot camp with me, and not, but to do that customer research to understand why your customers are choosing you
Yeah.
is the most important thing that you can do,
Yeah.
to be more effective in your marketing.
For sure. And here I'll say this too, because when I first started KP Quilting Studio, that's the first thing people said. You got to do your market research. And
Mhm.
I'm like, sure, sure, whatever. I don't even know what that means. Like, I had no concept of how to do market research, why to do like
Yeah.
none, right? So people were saying it to me, and I was thinking, yeah, I need to do market research. I think I'll put papers in the mailbox. I don't know how to do it.
I'll do a survey monkey survey. Like,
Right,
you didn't
right.
even know that. No.
No concept, none whatsoever how to do that. All I knew is I love sewing and I love helping people. The
Yeah.
rest is all just going to magically fall into place.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that everybody hopes, but people
Hmm.
have to know about you,
Yeah.
right? And so that's why, in this, and you started at the perfect time. Like, you were about a year into business, I think, when we started, or almost a year. So you had enough time under your belt to know what wasn't working. So it just made the experience, I think, probably more powerful, because you're like, I need to change, right?
Yep.
Doing the same things over and over again. What is
Yeah.
that? There's a saying.
That's the
That's the
definition of
definition of insanity, is doing the same things
uh,
over and over again, expecting different results. Okay.
exactly.
So the next question is, overall, not just in the boot camp, not just in the branding process, but what is the biggest lesson, marketing lesson that you have learned?
You have no idea what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. That's the biggest one. Now I knew I didn't know anything about marketing, but
I just
I
don't know.
didn't know. I didn't know how much I didn't know,
Right.
right? Um, that, and that's just back to what I was saying a minute ago. People were saying, "Yeah, do your market research," and I'm sure, yeah, no idea what to do. And marketing to everybody, that everybody,
Yeah.
that is not what you want to do. You need to find your lane and get in it and stay in it. You need to figure out who it is that your ideal client is
Yeah.
and market to them. So it's finding that niche. It's finding that little spot that you can call your own and stick into that. So I think, because like I say, my strategy was everybody come buy a quilt, and
Yeah.
that's not how it works, right? So I think that was the biggest thing, was understanding that you need to find your spot.
So now
And
we get that.
yeah.
Um, I'm. What are the benefits of that? Like, have you seen any benefits from, how you're doing things or results you're
Yeah.
getting? I know we're just fresh. We're still in the boot camp, so you're not done it yet. But
No.
is there any benefits that you've seen now that you've had that epiphany that no, I can't market to everyone. I need to know my ideal client.
Mm-hmm.
Has it done anything for you yet?
Yeah, it has. It really has, actually. Like, I've taken steps, tangible steps. So I've warmed up my website. I've warmed up my logo. I've warmed up my messaging. So I've changed my colors, and that probably sounds like a really simple thing to do, and it really is. But
Yeah.
it matters. It matters. You're sending a message, and you're sending a message, not only a verbal obvious message, but you're sending messages no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So the color that you use, is it a calm color, is it a happy color, is it a comforting color, or is it a really garish black and bright pink color? Right. So I mean, as much as
Yeah.
I love black and bright pink together, it's really not on brand for me,
Yeah.
right? So and it was realizing that and understanding that, and saying, this is not the message that I want to put out there. When people see my logo, I want them to see something that makes them happy, that makes
Right.
them feel relaxed, feel comforted, as opposed to something that's really kind of in your face.
Yeah. Your favorite colors aren't always the best brand colors,
Exactly. Yeah.
depending on what your
Yeah.
brand is going to portray,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And I think that, that's one, just a very small example, but, coming up with, our little taglines that, comfort made, especially for you.
Yeah.
I love how that sounds.
Yeah.
It sounds nice,
So now you have, so I think, like, I would say it's knowing what to say now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that must
Absolutely.
take some of the confusion away and feel like you maybe aren't throwing things at the wall anymore. Like comfort
Yeah.
made, especially for you, says a
Mhm.
lot.
It does. And it does. And it gives you that, oh, this is just for me. It's one of a kind. It's unique, like
Yeah.
especially for you. So very subtle, but on brand, right?
Right.
Which is a new term that I've learned.
I
And
love
and
that you're using the term on brand. Anybody
because
who's in an agency who is watching or
Mhm.
in brand management is loving you using that, because I was
Yeah,
like the brand police when I
yeah,
worked agency. And if it wasn't on brand, like the creative people did not like me
yeah,
because I was like, I am not showing that to anybody. That is not getting past my desk right now.
yeah,
But it's
yeah.
important to stay on brand, right? So
It
people know
really
what
is.
to expect. You build your reputation that way.
Yeah, and we talked about the trust, right? And if you throw up something on your Facebook page that is completely off brand, and your clients go, "Huh? What's that?
Yeah.
Who's this person?" Right? So you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And I didn't know any of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You were a great student. You were like, really, you took it kind of, you learned it all. Okay. So in the let's see, what is the biggest needle mover for your business What has been the biggest needle mover for your business in the last 12 months?
Um,
Overall, what's the biggest thing that has moved the needle for you?
Facebook.
Okay.
Facebook. Yeah. And I was on Facebook all along. Like that was one of the first things I did when I opened KP Quilting Studio was get a Facebook business page.
Yeah. Get a website, get a Facebook, get a name. The
But
little
all yeah, and all I've really been doing for the past year on Facebook is saying, "Here's something pretty I made. Do you like it?" Or I haven't even said the do you like it part. It's
right. Look at
this
that.
and this is
Look at that.
pretty and I like this and right. But now with and I'm also in the Handle Club, which is the club that you and Erica um, started,
Yes.
which is all about your Facebook game. Um, that's teaching me how to use Facebook to market my business. Um, and it's huge because it's free. First of all, Facebook is lovely that way.
Yeah.
There's lots of things you can do and pay for, but you don't have to,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
great
you
for
don't.
business.
That's a good point. You don't
Yeah.
have to pay to play on Facebook, and I know that there's lots of people out there who are trying to sell Facebook services and stuff who are scaring people a little bit with some of the changes in the algorithm stuff. But if you're doing it right,
Yeah.
you're going to get seen.
Yeah. Yeah. And now I know what to post. And now I know I need to post more,
Yeah,
right? So before it was, I might throw a post up every couple of weeks or whatever the case may be. And
yeah,
now it's no. You need to have a presence on Facebook. And I think that was a big needle mover. And I'm noticing that the word of mouth is happening
yeah,
more so, and it's Facebook Marketplace, and it's this group in Facebook. This latest lady that I just started working with found me, someone I don't know who told her about KP Quilting Studio in one of the buy and sell type groups, right?
perfect.
So yeah, so that's a word of mouth through Facebook. um
Yeah, because
so
you were doing a lot of things when we first started working together.
mhm,
You were doing a lot of things. You were trying to create new products. You were trying to, like, you had websites, you had like prizes you were giving to a lot of people asking for donations. And so I think what we found as we started going through and did the research and understood where your customers are,
mhm,
we
mhm,
kind of made the decision like Facebook is going to be your priority channel. Not to
yeah,
say you can't dabble in some other areas, but you're one person and you're
right,
going to be making a hell of a lot of quilts. So you can't be spending all your time in marketing.
yeah.
So to get really strategic about Facebook, that I really think can be your marketing strategy
Mhm.
as you start growing your business, at least for the next year.
Yeah, I'm seeing the results already. I really am. I'm not a millionaire overnight, and I don't intend to be, and I really don't care to be. I want
Yeah.
to have my happy little life with my happy little quilts and on my happy little property with my funny little dogs, and
And be
that's really
making that impact with people.
and it's yeah and it's very much it's happening, and I can see it starting to happen, and I do believe that it has an awful lot to do with the Facebook, the use of Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So I will give a shout out to the Handle Club since you
Yes.
mentioned.
Yes.
So the Handle Club, for those
Yeah.
of you who are watching who don't know, is a membership that myself and Erica Waddell have put together to help people get strategic about Facebook. So stop worrying about the number of fans and the number of likes and all of those vanity metrics and get really serious about how do you use Facebook to get more customers, basically.
Yeah.
So, and it's an ongoing, it's a membership. So it's like month over month, you're learning new things and you're upping your game and you're creating deeper connections and getting better results.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it really has made a difference for me. It really has. Yep.
That's awesome. And it's
Yep.
nice to focus on one area, right? Like,
Oh, I was everywhere. I was all over the place and
yeah,
trying to, well, maybe if I do this and maybe if I do that, it again, it goes back to finding your lane and
yeah.
staying in it, right?
Yeah, so much better to do one thing really well than
Yeah.
a lot of things kind of not knowing what you don't know about them, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Okay, so we're almost out of time. So why don't you give us just a quick what's next for your business? what's next? What's happening now? What's on the horizon?
Well, so the next thing you and I are going to be doing is formally launching the weighted comfort quilts. So
Woo!
I'm looking forward to that. That's going
Yeah,
to be happening very soon. Um, Way on the horizon, within the next couple years, I want to move my studio over to that big old barn
yeah,
that's on my property. It's beautiful. It's rustic. It's just got a happy feeling over there, and it's where I want to be. That way there'll be a brick and mortar shop that I'll have actual open hours. People can drop in for a cup of coffee and take a look around the fabric and look at the quilts and
yeah.
maybe
And
come
just get to enjoy that peaceful
get to
feeling
enjoy
of
them.
your surroundings are just so peaceful.
Yeah, it is.
I went
It
and
is.
I felt so I went to visit you the first time, and I was reminded of my grandmother, who's
Mhm.
passed away now, but
Yeah,
her wood stove and like just the old school charm of where you are.
yeah,
It's just a perfect
yeah,
landscape for what you do.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It really is, and it lends itself to what I'm trying to do to, not only with the business but with helping people and making them feel better, right?
Yeah.
Again, back to the peacefulness and all those things, because I need that too, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
We all need a little more peace in
we,
our lives, I
we
think.
all do.
Okay, so I know you have an offer
Yes, I
there.
do. Yes.
So tell us what do you so anybody who's watching this show, replay too, or just live? Replay.
um replay. Yep.
Okay. So if you watch the replay, put replay
Yeah.
and in the comments. And Lisa, what do you have for us?
So any of the viewers that order a weighted comfort quilt or a traditional quilt before the end of June 2019.
Okay.
So you don't have a whole bunch of time, so you need to get on it. And that's to get your order in. It doesn't have to be finished, it just needs to get your order in before the end of June. Will also receive a coordinating 20 by 20-inch throw pillow to go with it. So it'll
Perfect.
be a pillowcase that will fit a 20 by 20 pillow form that will match your quilt. And that's
Awesome. Great
yeah,
offer. Love
yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Okay, so what do they do to get that? Just let
Just mention when you contact me, mention that you saw me on the Marketing on Purpose show with Haley Bowen, the amazing Haley Bowen, and and
Yes,
just
I did not pay
mention
her for that.
no,
Say it again. Say it again. Kidding.
but yeah, just mention that you saw me on the show, and yeah, yeah, for sure.
Perfect. Okay, so if anybody watching has any questions for Lisa before we sign off, or for me,
Yep.
please throw them in the comments. And I will be posting, well, Lisa's KP Quilting Studio is in the post, so you can click on that if you want to check out her Facebook page and follow her journey.
Yes.
And I'm going to put in a link for the Buyer Persona Mini Bootcamp, because Lisa talked about the buyer persona being kind of the big needle mover for her,
Yep.
and really understanding her customers. And I have a mini boot camp for that. So if anybody's interested in really digging deep into your customers and finding those connections that are going to move your business forward, I got a link for that. So that's it. I don't see any comments. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Haley.
And we will call that a show. Thanks, Lisa. Have a great day, everyone.
You too. Bye, everybody.